Okay, so my name is Amber Fonte. I have been a full-time faculty member. I'm now going to be an adjunct, and I'm going to give you an introduction to this room in CS 101. This is our education lab. And the first thing you would want to do with this room is go and pick up your keys. And you're going to notice when you get keys to this room that you're going to have the main door key that you'd open up, and then you're going to have a smaller key. I actually have a personal key, and it's LZ001, so it will be a small little goldish key. And this will be the key that would unlock this cabinet. So I'm just going to unlock this cabinet. And at the end of the time here in the lab, you will want to make sure that you are locking the cabinet up. And so when you first come into this lab, you've unlocked the cabinet. We're going to go ahead and we're going to power up the lab. Now, this is for the PC, and the PC is actually going to control the smartboard on this end. And then this over here is actually the Mac. And there's a nice little sticker that says power, because this power button's a little tricky. It's a tiny little circle over on this side. So you would want to make sure that you hit both the power button over here on the tower and then the smaller one on the Mac. Right here, this monitor is going to control the PC. That monitor will control the Mac. And then all the way on that wall, that smartboard is going to actually be your Mac smartboard. But let me show you kind of how this works. In addition, and this is one really important thing that a lot of people forget, there is a receiver. So the receiver, you want to make sure you hit that receiver button, that it is on. Sometimes the receiver does get left on, which shouldn't cause any problems. But this receiver is also how you're going to switch between the different technologies in this room. So the receiver is a really important thing. If things aren't working, it's because the receiver is not on. You will notice over here, there's some written instructions. So if you like to use the written instructions, you can use those as well. And then when you're looking at this computer, the PC computer, it will request a login. But the Mac one will not. So you want to be sure with the Mac in particular that you log this out, because like let's say you left your email up here or bill pay, the next person who turns that on is going to be looking at your personal information. Okay. And I do want to say that I love having two computers in the classroom. It's really cool because one would be the computer that you might be using to show your PowerPoint, and the other one is a computer where you can take attendance, which is a very neat, nifty thing. Okay. So while this computer is logging in, remember that can take a minute. Here's another technology you might want to power up when you first come in. This is your document camera. So you're going to hit this power button right here. And then the document camera is going to pop on. And we'll do a separate video with the document camera later to show how the document camera works. The next thing you'd want to do with this lab is you want to come over here. The smart boards do not have remotes. You'll notice the pens are actually included in the smartboard tray and the eraser, so you would want to make sure that that was here. And then you'd want to turn that on by just hitting that power button right there. And it will switch from orange to green. Right here we have a digital short throw projector. This actually has a blinking green light. And there is one occasion where the bulb burnt out, and when that happened it switched to red. So if for some reason your monitor wasn't popping up, that's a possibility. In the back of the classroom, the second smartboard. Now this smartboard is going to either work as an additional display. One of the thoughts behind the lab is that we were losing the front of the room, so there was not a traditional front of the room. So you'd want to go ahead and click that orange, turn it to green. But it will also be, this would be the smartboard that if we were switching to the PC, this is where you would have those touch interactive features come on. So for right now, the touch interactive features, because I'm using the PC, and I'll show you that over on the receiver, are going to be at this board, but I could actually switch them over, and they could be at this board as well. For right now, you'll notice this smartboard will display the same thing as that front smartboard, but when you went to touch on it or use the interactive elements of it, it would not be interactive. Only one board can be interactive at a time. So if I grab this pen and attempted to write, nothing would happen. But over on this board, if I grab this pen and I attempt to write, it's going to work. So I will do another video about the smart boards and how to use them and calibrate them in just a moment. The next thing you do when you were coming into this lab is you come over here using that same lovely LZ2001 key. You're going to unlock this cabinet. Now this cabinet is going to house, we're going to pretend that was locked. This cabinet is going to house the laptops and the iPads. Now these iPads are going to come out. You're going to notice often that these iPads are out of their cases, and I'm going to just explain that's often because they're very difficult to charge in the cases. So you want to make sure before you give them to students that they are actually pushed real well into the cases, which can be kind of tricky. One thing I want to say too is when I first come into the lab and I'm getting ready to work with students, I do tend to do a quick inventory just to make sure there should be 4 iPads and 4 laptops. The other thing you're going to notice is the iPads should be charged with these little charging stations, and there's one for each. They're actually all charging right now. But sometimes when students are putting them away, they have to be reminded, please make sure that you do put the iPads away on the charging docks. And then the laptops, the Mac Minis, actually have really cool chargers. If you're familiar with the Macs, they're magnetic, and so they're just going to clip in place. And when they're actually charging, there's a little light on the top that will go to green. Okay, and there should be 1, 2, 3, 4 of those as well. So I always do a mental inventory when I come over to this cabinet. I double check to make sure I've got 4 and 4. I try and keep iPads on this side and MacBooks on this side. And then I always, when I'm collecting at the end of the class, I make sure that I'm collecting 4 and 4. And one other thing I do want to show you, there is a cabinet in the back. But this cabinet is just going to have general supplies. And so for this cabinet, you'll notice in that bag you have keys that you would pick up from the tech center. Watch, I wrote the right one. Sorry. That you are going to have a couple of different keys. You'd have 2 different keys. And so this is going to have markers and glue sticks. We have scissors. Additional dry erase markers will be housed in here, some construction paper, just different supplies that you might need as you're teaching your class. When you're finished, of course, what you would want to do is you would want to go back through and lock everything. We'd come over to the smart boards. We would power these down by hitting this button. A warning is going to come up. It's going to say press the power button. Do you want to press that again? You're going to press it. If you were to press it twice when you were setting up, there does take about a minute for them to cycle back on and off. So I'm going to press that again. That's going to turn off. The light will go from green to orange. I'm going to press this one again. That's going to turn off. And then I would come over here and I would have to shut down both of these computers. With the Mac, it's this Apple right up at the top on the Mac. You log out. And then over here on the PC, you would shut it down as well. So both of those lights should go off on their own, and then the last thing you'd want to do is hit that receiver button, power that receiver off, and close this cabinet, and make sure that this cabinet is locked. So that's really important. One more thing with the whiteboards, did want to show you, these are our whiteboards. They're fantastic. They go from floor to ceiling, and then on the back end of the whiteboard, oh look, there's one of my assignments left. There are these lovely cork boards where if students are working independently, they can work on different assignments. So these are just very cool pieces that you would be able to use, but just make sure that they're wiped down at the end of class. And that your cabinet, we'll go back over here, I have to lock this cabinet up now. Cabinets are locked. Like I said, you've got 4 laptops and 4 MacBooks. That guy's locked. This guy's locked. And you'd lock the classroom door and turn your keys in to the technology center, or there's a drop box in the student center where you could turn your keys in, and you're done. Have a great day.